everybody, today is the day. It's the day we've all been waiting for. It is the book haul. So I went abroad for 6 months, and in those 6 months I accumulated quite a few books. 50, you might say. So I have 9 piles of books to show you. We don't have all the time in the world. I want this to be quick, I want it to be exciting, and so we're gonna get started. And at the end, we're gonna do a really cool statistics type thing that I'm really excited to show you. Let's go. Pile number 1. Young adult. Book number 1 is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This was recommended to me by my lovely friend Lee. I've started reading it. Buddy, Lee, I'm sorry. I kind of hate it. We'll move on. The Time in Between by Nancy Tucker. This was given to me by my buddy Lena. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited. Book number 3, This Book is Gay by James Dawson. Let's celebrate. Ha! Next up is Varjak Paw by SF Sade. I got this at a book panel I did that was super exciting. The Disreputable History of Frankie Landau? Probably Banks by E. Lockhart. This is really great because a long time ago I read A Fly on the Wall by E. Lockhart and I loved it. More recently I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart and loved it, and so this is gonna be fantastic. And finally I have Joyride by Anna Banks. I'm so pumped! She wrote the Mermaid series I read last year, and this is contemporary young adult. It's gonna be fantastic. Pile number 2 is graphic novels, and I've actually already read these. Lost at Sea by Brian Lee O'Malley. He's the guy who wrote Scott Pilgrim. It was really great. Vincent by Barbara Stoke. This is a biography of Vincent van Gogh, and it's super pretty and great, and I loved it. And then I have Tim Minchin's Storm. This was a beat poem he did, and it got turned into a graphic novel, and it's beautiful. Pile number 3 is poetry. You see, I never used to read poetry, and then I found this book, The Golden Treasury of Canadian Verse by A.M. Stephen. It's really old, it's secondhand, and I found it in a bookstore in York. I read a poem, and it kind of moved me, and so I thought, maybe poetry, maybe I should give it a shot, and I bought a bunch of poetry. So these 3 editions, I love them, they're slippery and beautiful. I have The Hawk in the Rain by Ted Hughes, Sylvia Plath, Ariel, bought it because it's got my name on it, let's be honest, and The Wasteland and Other Poems by T.S. Eliot. I got Shakespeare's Sonnets. This is really cool. It's just the sonnets, just all of them, in a nice little package. A book, you could say. I got The Myth of Brilliant Summers by Austin Collings. I've never heard of this. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. But it has pictures in it and poetry. I picked up What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. This is actually short stories, so it's not really poetry. I don't know what it's doing in this pile, but it's far too late to change now. It's by Raymond Carver. I was recommended this book by some of my friends, and I thought I'd give it a shot. Next, I got Can't and Won't by Lydia Davis. This was recommended to me by my boyfriend. Woohoo! It's really cool. It's got a lot of really short sections, and it's got a bunch of dreams that she had, so I think this will be a fun ride. Next, I got Roland Barthes' A Lover's Discourse. While I was in Paris, don't mind me, I went to Shakespeare and Company, and the guy who sold me another book you'll see, he told me, have you read this? I said no, and so I bought it, because he recommended it. Why the heck not? And finally for poems, I got Shapes and Disfigurements of Raymond Atropos? I went to a spoken word night, and it was really cool in Birmingham, where I was living, and this guy did some really powerful poetry, so I thought I'd pick it up. Pile number 4 is cool books. There's only 2. The first one is Secret Garden by Johanna Basford. I'm sure you've noticed there's a big trend right now with adult coloring books. They're trying to make coloring books cool. And so I got this one because I really want to color it in. But then you tear it out and it's a postcard. So that's cool. And then I got this book in Amsterdam when I was with Lauren of Lauren Reads YA, Lost in Translation. This is really cool. It's a person who went around looking at different languages and finding words that we don't have equivalents for in English. So it's really cool. I don't know, it just flew out of it. It's a 3D adventure. Pile number 5 is nonfiction. That's right, I'm dabbling in nonfiction now. The first one is Finding George Orwell in Burma by Emma Larkin. This was given to me by my boyfriend's dad because I never stopped talking about George Orwell, do I? Eventually he just had to give me a book that involved George Orwell, which is fantastic. The next book, I didn't know this was a theme, was given to me by my boyfriend's mom. She saw The Opposite of Loneliness by Marina Keegan and thought I would love it, and everybody else says that I'll love it too, so I'm super excited to read that. I was walking in a market in London, saw this one, The Observer's Book of Modern Art. Thought, why not educate myself? So I got a little book on art. While I was in Paris, I picked up Nous sommes Charlie because I kept seeing it written everywhere. But the political movement that happened, here's the plot twist, it's in French. I can't read French. It's okay. One day I'll read it. That's the goal. Finally, I picked up The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer. I also got this on audiobook, and so I'm listening to the audiobook and reading along. It's so good so far. It's really great. Really great. Pile number 6 is general fiction, okay? This one I stole from my friend Lena. Trains and Lovers by Alexander McCall Smith. I told her she'd see it again. You won't. Next up is the first book I bought abroad, actually. I bought Zadie Smith's N.W. when I went to London. I bought A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin because I needed to read it for my course. Didn't read it for my course. Probably never will read it. Nobody say anything. This book I got also when I went to do that panel thingy, Roald Dahl's Over to You. This is cool, because it's Roald Dahl as an adult, like an adult fiction writer, as opposed to I've only read him as a children's writer. Then I got Stephen King's Carrie. I barely ever read horror. Really, I've only read one terrifying book. It was called 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. I very much recommend it. But it was terrifying, and it was really exciting to read something that totally freaked me out, so I'm hoping this will scare me as well. I've seen the film. Very scary. Next, I got Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere. I love Neil Gaiman, and every time I've read Neil Gaiman, I've listened to an audiobook, and this time I don't think I will. So we'll see what happens, but I'm super excited. Also, the font's huge. Not that you care, but the font's huge. And finally, I got this little pamphlet called The Tourists by Julianne Pacheco. I was in a book buying mood, it was pretty, and I bought it. The last 3 piles are classics. So pile number 7 is these little black classics. That's what they're called, right? Yes. I got Geoffrey Chaucer's The Wife of Bath for school, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels' The Communist Manifesto. Got it for free because I had credit at Waterstones. It was really cool. Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. I should read it. And Robert Louis Stevenson' Oh La La. I really, really love Robert Louis Stevenson. Have you read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? If you haven't, correct that now. Pile number 8 is Shakespeare, because I was taking a Shakespeare course, and you should always have Shakespeare. So I got King Lear. Haven't read it. Richard III. Fantastic. Was so good. And Macbeth. My favorite. Oh. And the last pile number 9, is just general classics. And I mean, we all know where we're starting. We're starting with George Orwell. I got A Clergyman's Daughter. Whew. Really excited about this one. This is one of the ones nobody talks about, you know? It's gonna be great. I need to stop waving books in your face. I got The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Should be good. Learned a lot about Oscar Wilde's life. Really sad. So sad. I got Jorge Luis Borges' Fictions. It's a collection of short stories. I'm really excited. One of the short stories I've already read. I read it for school. It's about an infinite library. That'll give you an idea of the kind of stuff that's in that book. Finish your sentences, Ariel. I got Albert Camus' The Outsider because my boyfriend told me it'd be really good. This was the other one that I got at Shakespeare Company, and the reason I really wanted to get this one as well is because it's by a French author, and I was in Paris and I thought, get a French, support the locals, you know? Support the locals. I got Kafka's The Trial. I'm super excited about this because a lot of people have told me that if I like George Orwell, which we all know I do, that I'll like Kafka. So, I'm feeling confident. I just noticed that the font is tiny though. Woo. Next up, I got Paradise Lost by John Milton. I got this used, and it's annotated. You might not be able to tell because it's small and light. I used a pencil instead of a pen, although I've heard pencil stays longer than pen. However, it's lighter. That's fine. I've obviously heard about this book because it's a classic, but I recently heard about it on an amazing channel that you have to check out. I'll link it down below. Better Than Food by Cliff Sargent. His channel is phenomenal. He talked about this book and totally convinced me to buy it. So, wahoo! I got The Body Snatcher by Robert Louis Stevenson because, like I've said, I'm obsessed with this guy. I didn't, however, realize that this is about guys that go out and steal corpses and like start killing people to get their corpses. It's a lot darker than I thought it was gonna be. And then I got another one. It's in a folio. It's in a book. Fancy. It is Travels with a Donkey by R.L. Stevenson. It's about Robert Louis Stevenson. It's about him traveling around with a donkey. And my joke, although I don't think it's a joke, I think this was the inspiration for Shrek. It's great. Next up is Beware of Pity by Stefan Zweig. Don't know anything about this book. I just thought it was pretty. Test of the Dubervilles by Thomas Hardy. Watched the miniseries with, what's his name? The bloke.
Eddie Redmayne.
With Eddie Redmayne. Was so good! So I have to read it. You gotta read it. Next up, I got Evelyn Waugh's Decline and Fall. Here's what I learned. Evelyn is a guy. I really thought it was a woman. It's a man. Anyway, yeah, this just seemed funny, and it's a big. I've heard a lot of people talking about this author lately. Thought I'd give it a go. And finally, we're at the end. The last book that I got was Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I picked this up because I was hanging out with Claire from Reading Bukowski, who's a fantastic channel, and this is her favorite author and her favorite book. So I thought, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Also, I've read the short story version and it's fantastic as well, so we're done and I'm tired. Tell me down below which book you are most excited for me to read. Tell me which little section you liked the most. I'm most excited about the graphic novel section. I'm really into graphic novels right now. I just want to hear from you guys. Let me know down below. Something. Just tell me something. Something about one of these books. Go on. Which cover did you like the most? That's a good question. Now I want to choose. I couldn't pick one. I had to pick 4. I love this one because it's really colorful. I love this one because it's really colorful. I love this one because it's like inscribed. And I like this one because it's got my name on it. Finally, we shall end this giant voyage of gloriousness with some really cool book porn, is basically what it's gonna be. I'm really excited to film this stuff. So I hope that you enjoy it. Let's go! You guys enjoyed that video. I'm super glad to be back. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye! The last thing I got, I forgot to show you. It was a present. It's a bookworm from my friend Lotus.